Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 2 of the Icon series. I am so happy that you have continued on this journey with us. If you haven't checked out episode 1, go and take a look. It was amazing. I am sure you will like it. My guest today is a creator of Caribbean music. In fact, he's not just any creator, he's one of the greatest creators out there. His name is Arthur Allain, and I can't wait for you to hear this amazing story. Yo, Arthur, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Can't complain. What about you?
Fantastic. Even better that you're finally here, man.
Yeah, man. It's it took a little, scheduling, but we here, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. Everything in time,
Yeah, man, for sure.
for sure. I would find it hard that many people will not know who you are. But let's just assume that some people in my audience don't know you at all. Tell people a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, Elijah is my original name. Huh? That's the
Oh,
name.
wow.
That's the name my mother and father gave to me. Elijah Arthur Allain. All right. I come from, of course, the beautiful, picturesque town of Soufrière. Born
Mhm.
and raised, new development Soufrière. Come from a family of 7, well, 5 kids my parents had. I was the middle child. I am the middle child. I come from very humble beginnings. Come from a place where I grew up playing marbles in the yard, playing a lot of cricket. And that's where Arthur came from, first of all. During the 90s, there was a cricketer called Keith Atherton. And back then, so we used to call each other names of cricketers. So one of my partners was Shanda Paul, the next one was Lara. And I used to always get Keith Atherton in before the conflicts box. I don't know if it's Kellogg's or one of them boxes. And Atherton was always one of those. So I would always call myself Atherton. And then, of course, that was a little long, so the fellas had to call me Arthur. And that just stuck with me until. So I grew up in a lot of cricket. That was my passion. I always thought I'd play for West Indies, but that never happened. Yeah. And I'm a very easygoing person, very calm. Music has always been a part of me. I was a teacher for over 10 years. I taught at Soufrière Comprehensive, taught at Barbono Secondary, taught at Balata Primary. I'm a certified teacher, but I left that for focusing on major records and Arthur Allain, the entrepreneur. So yeah, it's a lot to me that a lot of people don't know, but of course,
Yeah,
we had to talk a little more about that.
for sure. And we'll find out a little bit more about it in our conversation. I want to start from the beginning. Well, the beginning of music for you.
Right.
How did you even get into music? How did music become part of your life?
Um, it's hard to pinpoint the moment for me where that I actually got deep into music. But it started around when I entered secondary school, I believe. I think even before that, my father, he always had a hi-fi at home. He never would go out and play, but he loved playing his music, mostly reggae music. And and every Saturday, every weekend, he'd be blasting music non-stop. And I would find myself, singing along to all of these songs. But when I got into secondary school, I started to create. I remember we had a social studies project where we had to put on a presentation, and I just decided to create my own song using a Sean Paul song at the time. It was Give Me the Light. And I just changed the words to create a song for the project. And I enjoyed doing that. And my music teacher, Mr. Christopher Favre, he kind of realized the talent in me. He invited me into the recorder band, the choir. I was very much into drama. Also, even from a little before that, too, I was into the folk band. My father was part of Soufrière Action Theatre. And I found myself every Christmas time, Junior Girl time, playing with the masquerade band. I would play either the bamboo or play the snare and the taboo. So that was kind of my introduction to music and performance. When I got into school, different projects, participating in shows and all that, I kind of it sparked an interest in me. And the professional side of it came from that because as I would perform at Soufrière Comprehensive, where I went to school, the Matrix band would often perform at the school as well. And they saw me performing at one of those shows. And when I left school, they invited me over to join the band, and the rest was history.
Beautiful. So I'm seeing that a teacher saw something in you that you maybe didn't even see in yourself.
Yeah, you could say that.
So did that then also inspire you to teach music as well?
Actually, I didn't start teaching music until when I moved up to Castries. I started as IT was my field.
Okay.
People don't know that I studied computer systems engineering, and I taught that and mathematics. So that was my first area. But then when I decided to when my career at music kind of took off and I moved up to the north, I decided to focus. I wanted a lighter load, so I went into the primary school this time, and I taught at Balata Primary teaching music, and of course music is my love, so that was easy for me to transition to.
Makes sense. Now let's switch to the career now. Where did you know that, okay, this can really become a full-time gig or at least a career for you? When did you know you were making it big?
I still feel like making it big. I mean, I'm making it big in everything is relative. Huh? So upcoming artists might look at me and say, "Boy, you're a very established Saint Lucian artist. You travel in the world." And yes, I am. I've come a long way from where I started. This year is 16 years since I joined the Matrix band and got into music professionally. But when if you're talking about when I decided to go fully into music only and focus on that, it would be around 2017, thereabout. I started to realize that as much as I love teaching, music was my true passion. And in order to become successful, you have to look at other people who are successful and see what they're doing and see how you can model that. I'm the kind of person who go on Wikipedia and just read a professional's biography to learn their story. And, I look around in Saint Lucia and see, okay, who can I model? So I would look at guys like Ronald Buhingson, who has made it. I think he's a very successful musician here. So I'll talk to him and ask him, like, how do you go about doing certain things? Get his mentorship. Guys like at the time, Lebo, rest in peace. I'll talk to him about how he would go about doing certain things. And I'll look at other guys on the circuit like Shane Ross, Siobhan Seeley and other guys who were doing music. And I was like, get me in on it. And I had to decide, okay, let me focus on improving the band evolution at the time. Me doing my own solo stuff, the hotel segment, the merchandise segment, all of these things. And I was like, I can push this thing to bigger than where I want it to be. And I just decided that one day I'm going to leave teaching. I told my parents about it. My mother was a principal at the time. She's retired now. My father also in the school system. I was like, hey, I think I'm going to just focus on music entirely. And she was like, you have a plan? I'm like, not really, but somewhat. And I just decided to go all in. And that was the best decision I made. I ended up going back to teaching during the pandemic. That's another story. But I just decided to go all in with it. And it worked out in the end.
Beautiful. Now, I know that the release of Numb was a big point in your life. I've heard you speak about that oftentimes. What did that song and the success of it mean to you?
Yeah, it meant the world to me at the time, because at that point it had already been 6 years professionally doing music, but also about 10 years since my first writing or actually getting into music. So, and before that, it was a lot of a struggle basically to get any song in rotation. Luckily for me, the year before I had done Jumping Alone with the same writer, Daniel Lubois. I met her at Teachers College, and she was like, she's really wanted to write with someone, and she's never had the opportunity. And like, she's seen me around, and she sees the potential, and she's like, let's work together. Would I be willing to sing a song of us? And I did jump in alone. The song didn't kick off that year, 2013. It didn't really kick off, but it started to get a little buzz. I got on shows like Euphoria was just starting off. Color Me Red, Thaddeus Antoine met me at one of the shows and was like, young man, I see a lot of promise in you. I want to put you on that show. I can't offer you so much money, but we want to just give you opportunity. And these little things kind of helped with Numb the following year, because by then now some people were starting to acknowledge, hey, this Arthur Allain guy, that guy from Soufrière that sings to the band, he has some potential. And when Numb came out, it didn't take off initially. But I remember JD Jean-Pierre, she was the Prime Minister's press secretary at the time, and she was in love with that song. And she just kept, I didn't know who she was, but she just on Facebook always posting non-stop, my king, my like. So other people who were tuned into her page, whether for political or other reasons, they started to tune into the song as well. And then I met Kidal Sonny to Daniel Dubois, and we decided to shoot a video for Nam. And then Nam just, after I ended up winning the Groovy Monarch, of course, that year. And that was, the start, like, yeah, boy, you're finally getting somewhere. Because even with the previous year, people were like, oh, the cheat tune. And I was like, nah, I was just happy to actually finally be making an impact. And Nam after Soca Monarch just became like an anthem. And to this day, it still plays in parties. Sometimes I still sat my set with it because it's just that song that people resonate with, and it's a song that I produced myself as well, producer and co-wrote with Daniel. So it made it even sweeter to me to know that, I was making an impact with my contribution.
Beautiful. I am very, very interested, in that process. And I realized that, it takes a village really almost to produce a song. Because I'm
Yes,
seeing connections with Daniel Dubois, with Kidel, a whole set of individuals. And often, sometimes people only see the artist,
yeah.
but it's a whole ecosystem.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. At the time, too, we just wanted the blessings of going to Teachers College. I had a group of friends from Ancillary, the Youth on Fire Ministry, Kate and Alice, big up to them. There was a whole core of teacher friends who were rallying with me. So they were part of from my video to my stage presentation. It was a real team, and Kidel was just getting started in videography too. He had done a few things before, but he was finally trying to find his niche. Daniel, of course, getting in there, creative direction. It was a real team of us, that came together to kind of elevate each other. And it really worked out in the end. And we were making that impact on the ground, that little buzz that was needed for each and every one of us.
Right. Now, you mentioned Soca Monarch. How many times have you won that competition?
6 times, yeah.
6 times. All right. Was that a specific dream of yours coming into this?
Nah, so come on, I was never the dream. I'm someone I do like competition, first of all.
Okay.
I've never enjoyed competition. It's never been about competing for me, So come on, I did what it had to do for me in terms of, in our Caribbean culture or the soca culture, it's very much a part of it, and it gives the season a boost. It gives us songs a chance to, get out there. And people are zoned into it. They tuned into it. So it really helped to put Arthur Allain out there and give me a platform, basically. So, I never set out to say, boy, I go win one Father's 6 Monarchs. It happened along the way. I saw the success it brought me. In the start, the finance was not the best. The first time I won, it was only $10,000. I only walked out of the Soca Monarch with maybe less than $2,000 in my hand. Yeah, I'm telling you, after I paid everybody and paid my everything, my presentation, it was nothing. So it wasn't about the money at all for me, but it was about using the platform to create an impact.
Beautiful. Now, I know that people typically associate that type of music with the carnival season. But what I have seen you do in particular is utilize it also outside of the carnival season. Do you think that is important, and is it done enough?
Yes, of course, it's important. Is it done enough? I don't think so, which is probably why soca isn't where it's supposed to be. I tend to try to create music that's anthems. If you look at
Yeah.
songs like no matter who you are, even if you're into carnival, as much as it says carnival in it, it's not a carnival song. It's about upliftment and breaking away, being free and no, from the first line, nobody don't know how hard that I working. How the money making, how I surviving. That's
Right.
something that can resonate with people from all different walks of life. Everybody has their struggles. Everybody has their different things that they encounter. And, that's the kind of music that can last for a long time. I'm a Saint Lucian, I'm a West Indian. That's always going to resonate with people because of patriotism. A song like Mama every Mother's Day, or people always have mothers. People love their mothers at all times, so it's not directly linked to carnival, but, that beat is a song about just enjoyment and freeing up, So I try to write music that it's not just for the season, something that can, always resonate with people from all different walks of life, whether you like soca or not. And I've seen that every time I do music, like sometimes people who are very staunch Christians, they'll be like, oh, I don't listen to soca music, but,
Yeah.
when I hear Feeling Irie, it's like, it
Right.
gives them a joy. And that's the kind of music I try my best to create so that, and I think it's helped. That's why 16 years later, I'm still able to, be regularly on shows or being given opportunities.
Absolutely. So I'm seeing that your music is music that people can relate to.
Yeah, man.
Anybody.
Yeah, for sure. That's the best thing to do, man. Create. You can always have those songs just for the moment. That's important too. Like for me, a song like "Wine on You" was like for the time, the vibe for a party, and that's cool. You need those kind of songs, but also try to create music that you can sing 10 years from now, 15 years, no matter, and it will still mean something to people.
Yeah, for sure. I call that lifelong content,
Yeah,
or,
man,
or
for sure.
content that is viable, not just viral, but viable for a long time.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
seeing that,
Sure.
you're creating that type of timeless content.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Okay. So I'm interested then in what a typical Arthur Allain creative process is like. So from inception to, let's say, music video, what is
Right.
that process like?
Um, Sometimes it's very organic in that
Mm-hmm.
it just comes to me spur of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I come into the studio and say, listen, I need to create something, and either way, it works out. Sometimes it doesn't. But I usually, now my process is like I get the music first. So sometimes I produce. I don't like to produce. I do it sometimes just because I want to.
Mm-hmm.
But I would source a beat from, say, a producer, Vibes Productions, Minor Productions, whoever it is, and I would just play the beat and just get a melody. I think melody is what resonates with people the most
The most,
beyond
yeah.
lyrics. Because sometimes you listen to a song that's Spanish or African, you don't know what it's saying, but you still enjoy it anyway because of the
Mm-hmm.
melody and the flow. So that's what I usually think of first. And then I start to, depending on the melody, if it's a minor, a major, a happy, sad, I would say, okay, what concept would fit most with that music? So I was, what's something that's either trending or something that people can relate to? And thereafter, I just, I'll lay down, I'll use my phone and just record simple ideas. And sometimes it would come to me like when I'm showering or whether I'm on a taking a drive or something. When I'm in the studio, I'll just punch in a simple melody or something, mumble something, and then afterwards develop it. Look for different ideas, phrases. These days, Chat GPT is available to everybody.
Yeah.
I don't use it to create my content, but I would ask it for different ideas on
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
topics and and then use that and develop those ideas, and then just try it out, put out a demo, do a demo. First thing I do, before people would want to hold songs and just keep it to themselves until it's released. But I'm not like that. I send my content to a whole bunch of critics, people with the ordinary listening ear to critical musicians.
Mm-hmm.
People I know that always have an opinion about something. I'll send to them, hey, give me a genuine opinion on what you think this is. If it's crap, I'll discard it. If most people tell me they're good, I'll discard it. If
Yeah.
I get some positive feedback, then I take the idea, I develop it into something solid, and then, I get it mixed and mastered. I usually outsource that, whether it be Yannick from Minor Productions or out foreign, go to Barbados, Andrew Denny, or Johan Mix Madman Productions, whoever it is, and get a solid, when I think that I have a solid package, then of course branding is important. So I always have to get a good album art, and whether it be a lyric video. And of course, I think visuals are very important. So from the little content to phone videos or whatever it is to just having a proper music video. There are various talented guys. Usually I use Kidal Sony or Visual Productions. Whoever is available at the time. I'm seeing new productions. Conceptualize something that, vibrant, something that people can enjoy, relate to. And then I just put it out there, see how it does. I still do the radio route, whether people consider I'm a Allain or not, I still have to grind on the ground and make sure people get the music. So I still go around, do interviews, make sure everything is packaged properly. Because you can have a great song, and unless you really push it out there, it goes nowhere unless you give it the right marketing. I'm still learning
Absolutely.
that aspect, but I try my best.
For sure. For sure. I like that you said, that it's still a learning process for you. Because some people think that, when they achieve a little bit of success, then they've made it. But the more success you achieve, the more you understand what you don't know.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Every level to us is levels and struggles. So as much as a startup artist, you have a hard time getting, whether it be airplay or getting your stuff sponsored. When you are, say, my level, there's a lot of other struggles that you encounter, and tapping into the wider market. Because when you, like me, become a 6-time monarch, you have to think about what next.
Yeah.
How do you get into the regional, international market? And I'm sure even guys like Marshall have their own struggles if breaking into that pop market or the American market. So, there's always a struggle at different levels, and you have to constantly seek to grow and advance yourself. So I'm always about learning new things and improving.
And you also spoke about, the use of AI. Now, some creatives might run away from that and
Yeah,
say,
it's like,
it's cheating or it's not
yeah.
authentic. But I'm seeing that you utilize it as a tool. Speak about that a bit.
Yeah, I think personally, if you stay away from AI, you're gonna get lost.
Yeah.
You're gonna, the world is moving at such a fast pace that it's a sad situation, but you have to advance with the times, and especially for me, like with even I do more than just music for as in my songs. So I do jingle creation, all these
Right.
things. So it helps. You can't let it affect your creativity or stifle your creativity and depend on it, but you have to utilize it to in little ways that can help you make the quicker, faster, from production to everything else. AI is not going anywhere, and it's only going to get more advanced. So you have to kind of get on the ball with it. And that's not just for music. In every aspect, every field of work, you can't be someone who plagiarizes, but, use it at your advantage. It's there. It's like at first people were, when people started to produce on computers, there were those traditionalists who were very much against it.
Yeah.
Even if like sampling when it came out, people were like, but if you move with the times, you're gonna get left behind. Trust me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So we're moving on to a segment that is one of my favorite segments. It's called the Quick Hitter segment. So it will tell a little bit more about Arthur Allain personally. This is rapid fire questions. So answer as quickly as possible.
All right, I'll try.
All right, good. So first quick hitter question. Top 5 artists, they could be dead or alive.
Bob Marley, Kiss, Bruno Mars,
Mm-hmm.
Ed Sheeran, The Weeknd.
Oh,
I
wow.
said 5 already.
Yeah, 5. That's 5. That's 5 phenomenal artists. I don't think anybody can argue with that. And people will still argue, but it's your list. It's your list.
That if you go on my playlist, that's what I listen to most.
Okay. That actually makes a lot of sense. Knowing your music, it actually makes a lot of sense. All right. Next question. Who is your hero?
Well,
That's a hard
I can't.
question.
I don't really have a hero per se. You know, I don't have a hero. I don't.
Okay.
But I'm influenced by a lot of influential people around.
Okay.
Like those artists I mentioned,
Mhm.
they have influenced me. In Saint Lucia, I don't have a hero per se, but people who have influenced me along the way, guys like Derek Yard, I look up to
Mhm.
as a performer coming up in the game early. You know, and just seeing other people in Saint Lucia who have had success, like the likes of Buhingson or Darren Sammy, and even now, Julian Alfred has
Yeah.
inspired me so much to want to achieve even greater.
Beautiful. Final quick hitter question. Who would you like to see on this podcast?
Uh,
I know you know a lot of people. So let's name
the,
one or two.
my protege T Blacks, he's had quite a story, so I big
Okay.
up him, man. Yeah.
We actually had him here in the early goings, but it
Oh, it's a
wasn't
nice man.
wasn't a great episode. So I'll have him here again. Yeah.
True.
I was still learning the game and it was still new. So we can always have him back.
Of course, good vibe, man. But that's a good vibe you're doing, man. And we need more podcasts and stuff happening from St. Lucia, to showcase, the talent that a lot of people are out there, but their stories are not being told too. So
Yeah,
keep up the good vibe, man.
absolutely. Thank you for that. All right, bro. So we're moving on to the back end of the interview. Like you mentioned a while ago, you have many artists who look up to you and you help a lot of younger artists. I know Bill Seeker Stanislas is
Yeah,
one of
man.
them. We've had him here. I know, like you said, T Blacks is one of them. The last time I spoke to you at St. Lucia Jazz, we had a conversation about why you do that. Tell the audience, why exactly do you do that?
I personally believe that you had to be the change you want to see in society, right? When I was coming up, I won't say that there weren't people who helped me. There were
Mhm.
quite a few who did eventually lend a hand. But a lot of times we don't know how to access those people. So it becomes tough and we find ourselves lost and in a hole of our own, trying to struggling, so I remember like when I was doing the Arthur Allain challenge, I just sat back one day and was like, what can I do to better the industry?
Mhm.
There are no platforms. How can I create a platform that will provide the opportunity to one upcoming artist? And I just went out and do it. I always believe, and that's something my mother always told me, giving is receiving. So
Mhm.
not that I do it to receive something, but I'm never afraid to give. I'm never afraid to support. I believe that there is enough for everybody. A lot of times we fight for what we feel is crumbs, but there's abundance in the world today. And we should never shy away from, sharing, whether it be knowledge or whether it be our time, our physical space, whatever it is. Because at the end of the day, it's not taken away from you. It's only going to help you in the long run. Some of those very same people that you assist, some of them will backstab, some of them will hate on you. Some of them will do different things that you may not appreciate. However, it will never overcome the good that will come out of you doing good for others. So I just try my best to do that, and it's always helped me. I think that too has lent to my longevity in the industry and given me opportunities that I probably would have never had.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm sure these individuals appreciate that. And, you know, from what they say, they swear by your guidance and
Yeah,
they respect you on that
yeah, man.
level. So, on behalf of them, and to thank you for doing that.
Yeah, man. Respect you, tag.
All right. I know that you are a family man,
Right.
right? And you have a pretty young family.
Yeah.
In your advancement, particularly in the last few years, how do you balance work and family life?
Um, it's relatively, no, I wouldn't say easy,
Uh huh.
but because my nightlife is consumed by entertainment and going out and perform. But luckily,
Right.
you know, between my wife and myself, we've created a schedule where we get to see each other enough. We both work for ourselves. My wife is a psychiatrist, so she
Okay.
creates her hours, you know, and I create my hours as well from the studio to, you know, my work outside. So it balances itself out. You know, you have to make time for what's important. And I think beyond anything that we can achieve in life, family is everything, you
For
know.
sure.
And when you have that, it motivates you, first of all, to go even harder. And you should never lose sight of what you're working for, you know. So I always try my best to make time for the things that is important. And trust me, no Soca Monarch, no gig outside, no Grammy, no award, nothing can compare to the joy of the love of people in your family, you know. And having my daughter, for example, that is the greatest joy that's ever come across. Despite the trials and, you know, the headaches and the sleepless nights, and just be easy being a parent. But
Yeah,
the joy that comes from it is even greater than any other success you can have in life. So you have to make time for that and appreciate that to the fullest.
for sure. For sure. All right. Final question to you. A word of advice for a young artist who looks up not just to Arthur Allain, the artist, but Arthur Allain, the man. What advice would you have for them?
My advice is usually the same in terms of patience, perseverance. That's my two favorite P's.
Mhm.
Like I said earlier, it took me 6 years professionally before I started to create any bit of impact, you know, and it took a long time. I'm still going, and it's taken a lot of patience because there are many times that I felt like giving up. You might see me right now and think, boy, it's been a smooth road. I've had success upon success. However, I've had my fair share of trials and tribulations, but I've really had to persevere and push forth. So don't give up on whatever it is you're trying to achieve. It doesn't have to be music in particular, whatever it is, take it step by step. You might see those speakers behind me, but if you saw what I started, if it was basically nothing. I didn't come from money. I didn't come from great stature. I came from a humble background, and I grew along the years. And I really had to push forth and just understand that everything in life takes time. Sometimes when it comes quickly, it disappears just as quick. So you got to just keep going, keep focused, and eventually one day, if you have that strong mindset and that will and that drive, you'll achieve everything you want to achieve, man. So keep going.
Thank you for that. And I think that is a word of advice, not just to artists, but everybody, regardless of whatever walk of life you're in. Yeah, perseverance is important and persistent as well. Bro, and to thank you so much for coming here. It was a fantastic interview. I mean, I knew it would have been, but it was even better than what I thought it would have been. Thank you so much for coming. You are
Yeah,
an
man, not a
icon.
problem.
You don't you might not consider yourself an icon, but I'm telling you that you are one. That this is why I am happy to have you as part of this series and on this podcast.
Yeah, man, give it time. I appreciate it, man. And thanks for having me. Big up to everybody who's been supporting me through the years. I appreciate y'all to the fullest, and hopefully we can see even greater things coming from myself, yourself, all of us. So I just looking to great, big and better things, man. Look out for me the rest of the year, next year. It's gonna be a whole lot of more music, good vibes, positive energy. Saudi.
Yeah, man. I was surprised that it did jump earlier in the episode, but I know the sound it was coming.
True. Yeah, man.
All right, guys. This has been yet another episode. And to thank you for coming on, remember to like and subscribe.
Of course.
Remember to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Game Changers is available. Anyhow, until next time, I'll see you then.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Free audio post production by alphonic.com.